Titanium pans perform like non-stick, but they're even more durable than stainless steel. At least that's what the companies that make these pans want you to believe. To find out the truth, I tested 5 of the most popular titanium pans on the market. I cooked eggs and pancakes with and without greasing the surface. I scraped them with metal ladles, spatulas, and a serrated steak knife. I grinded a whisk against the cooking surface, and I ran an aggressive corrosion test to see if titanium actually resists pitting better than stainless steel. I also put regular stainless steel pans through the exact same tests so you can see how titanium compares side by side. In this video, I show you the results of all my tests. You'll find out which claims are legitimate, which ones are just marketing hype, and whether titanium cookware is actually worth your money. Before I get into the test results, it's important to know that the 5 pans I tested all have titanium in the name, but they use it in very different ways. Hestan NanoBond is a stainless steel pan with an aluminum core. Titanium is vaporized in a high heat vacuum chamber and bonded to the surface in a layer as thin as human hair. According to Hestan, this makes the surface 4 times harder than regular stainless steel, and because of that, it's resistant to scratching, staining, and sticking. Viking PureGlide Pro is also stainless steel with an aluminum core, but Viking heats titanium to around 30,000 degrees and sprays it onto the cooking surface. The surface is a matte gray color, and honestly, it just looks like a non-stick coating. I had to follow up with Viking's customer service multiple times, but they confirmed it's not Teflon or ceramic, it's pure titanium. Viking claims the surface is 3 times harder than stainless steel and can withstand 5,000 cycles with a pizza cutter. We'll find out. The Hourplace Titanium Always Pan Pro has a stainless steel exterior, aluminum core, and a cooking surface made entirely of pure titanium. It looks like hexclad, but Hourplace confirmed that the darker spots are oxidation from the curing process, not a coating. They claim the textured pattern creates airflow between the food and the pan, and that's what prevents sticking. Taima has a stainless steel exterior, aluminum core, and a pure titanium cooking surface. Similar to Hourplace, the surface has a textured pattern that they claim makes it non-stick. They also say it's impossible to corrode. Heritage Steel's cooking surface is 316 Ti stainless steel, which is an alloy reinforced with titanium. Unlike the others, Heritage Steel doesn't claim it's non-stick, but they do claim the titanium in the alloy makes it more resistant to salt pitting and corrosion. To test the non-stick claims, I preheated each pan on medium-low until the cooking surface reached 325 degrees. Then I added a half teaspoon of oil and 2 grams of butter, spread the fat around, and cooked an egg. Before I show you what happened, I want to quickly thank Masterclass for sponsoring this video. If you're not familiar, Masterclass is a membership where you can learn directly from the people who are literally the best at what they do. There are over 200 classes across cooking, business, tech, wellness, and more. Recently, I watched Aaron Franklin's class on Masterclass. If you're not familiar with him, he's one of the most respected pitmasters in the country and a James Beard award-winning chef. In the class, he walks through the fundamentals of Texas-style barbecue. He talks about how to season and trim the meat, how to keep the smoker temperature steady for hours, and how to check for doneness by feel instead of just cooking time. One thing I thought was interesting is how simple he keeps the seasoning. For a lot of cuts, it's basically just salt and coarse black pepper, so the flavor of the meat and the smoke can really stand out. It definitely made me rethink the tendency to overcomplicate rubs and sauces when I'm cooking. Instead of mindlessly scrolling when you have downtime, this is a great way to actually learn something useful and apply it right away. The membership is $10 a month, billed annually, and you get unlimited access to the full catalog of classes. If you want to check it out, click the link in the video description or scan the QR code, and when you sign up using either one, you'll get up to 15% off the membership. All right, so getting back to the egg test, Viking performed just like a non-stick pan. The egg slid around with just a shake. I didn't need to nudge it with a spatula. Taima, Hourplace, and Heritage Steel also didn't stick at all. The Hestan NanoBond pan got a little too hot and browned the egg more than I wanted, but the non-stick performance was still good and it flipped easily without breaking the yolk or ripping the egg. The stainless steel pan without any titanium needed a spatula to loosen the egg, but it still released fine. Next, I ran the same test with no fat at all. The egg stuck badly to the Hestan, Heritage Steel, and Taima pans. Viking performed surprisingly well. There was a little sticking in a few areas, but I could still flip the egg without ripping it apart. The biggest surprise was the Hourplace pan. Even though I didn't add any oil or butter, the egg did not stick. I had to be careful with the spatula, but once I got under it, the egg lifted up cleanly. Up until now, the only pans that have done that in my testing are traditional nonstick pans, and they usually have to be pretty new for it to work. After the eggs, I spread a thin layer of butter on each pan and cooked pancakes. Every pan passed this test without sticking. I did another round of pancakes, but the second time I didn't use any butter. Viking, Our Place, and Taima all performed great. The pancakes stuck a little bit to the Hestan pan, but not much. The Heritage steel and stainless steel pans stuck the most, but the pancakes still came out fine. Another big claim with titanium pans is that they're scratch resistant and metal utensil safe. To test that, I ran 5 scratch tests with all 5 titanium pans and a stainless steel pan. First, I attached a 5-pound weight to a metal ladle and scraped it across each pan 50 times. Then I did the same thing with a metal spatula. Viking and Our Place had some white marks that looked really concerning, but it turned out to be metal dust from the ladle transferring onto the pan. It wiped right off with no permanent damage. The stainless steel pan had noticeable scratches that I could feel with my fingernail. Hestan and Heritage steel had marks that looked similar, but when I ran my finger over them, they were completely smooth. There were no grooves or any real damage. Taima had no noticeable marks at all. Next, I took a serrated steak knife, attached 2 magnets weighing a total of 130 grams, and rubbed it across each pan 15 times. Viking had 0 scratches or damage. Hestan had minor rub marks similar to the spatula test, but the surface underneath was completely smooth. One thing I noticed is that the knife was much quieter on the Hestan pan compared to the others. The surface is so smooth and hard that the knife almost glides across it. Our Place had a slight scratch mark, but nothing major. Heritage steel and Taima didn't hold up as well. Both had significant scratches. For comparison, I also ran this test on a traditional non-stick pan, and as you can see, the knife cuts right through the non-stick coating. After that, I put a heavy-duty Scotch-Brite sponge green side down on each pan, placed a 5-pound weight on top, and pushed it back and forth 20 times. Viking, Hestan, and Our Place had no damage. Heritage steel, Taima, and the stainless steel pan all came out with noticeable scratches. Finally, I set up a stand mixer so the metal whisk was making firm contact with the cooking surface, and I let it run on low for 30 seconds. Viking and Our Place both had scary-looking white marks, but it was just dust from the whisk breaking apart and transferring onto the pan. I rubbed it off both surfaces. Our Place also made a loud grinding sound during the test, which was alarming, but there was no real damage underneath. Hestan, Heritage steel, and Taima all had noticeable circular rub marks, but no actual scratches. The stainless steel pan ended up with circular scratches that were deep and I could feel with my fingers. After all the scratch tests, I wanted to see if any of the damage affected the nonstick performance. So I ran the same egg test again. I preheated each pan to 325, added a half teaspoon of oil and 2 grams of butter, and I cooked an egg. Every pan still performed well. Viking, Our Place, Heritage steel, and Taima had no sticking at all. Hestan had a very tiny spot that stuck, but it was barely noticeable. And even the stainless steel pan released fine. So despite all the marks and scratches from the durability tests, none of it made a meaningful difference in how the pans cooked. All of these pans claim to be corrosion resistant, and Hestan and Heritage steel specifically say that the titanium in their pans make it more resistant to salt pitting than regular stainless steel. To test that, I ran an aggressive corrosion test. I saved it for last because this is the test that's most likely to cause significant damage. I added 20 grams of non-iodized salt and 20 grams of filtered water to each pan and let them sit for an hour. Then I put them on the burner on high until the water evaporated. Then I let them sit for another hour before washing and inspecting. I did 3 rounds of this with each pan. After the first round, all 5 titanium pans looked completely fine. The stainless steel pan had small dark spots starting to form, and at first I just thought this might be mineral buildup, so I cleaned it with vinegar and Barkeeper's Friend. But the spots didn't come off. They hadn't corroded through the surface yet, but it was the beginning of pitting. After the second and third rounds, more spots appeared on the stainless steel pan, and when I zoomed in, I could see that they were actually starting to eat into the steel. When I rubbed them with my fingernail, I could feel the indentation. The titanium pans didn't show any signs of pitting. To be completely fair, this is an extreme test. I let salt sit in cold water in a cold pan for an hour, which is just about the worst thing you can do with stainless steel. If you add salt after the water is boiling and don't leave salty foods sitting in your pans overnight, pitting shouldn't be an issue. But the point is, the titanium pans handled the abuse without any damage at all, and the stainless steel started to pit. So after all that testing, the question is, are titanium pans worth buying? Before I give you my take, just a quick heads up that all 5 pans I tested are linked in the video description if you want to check them out. So the short answer is that it really depends on the pan. I'm a big fan of the Viking PureGlide Pro. It looks like a nonstick pan, it cooks like a nonstick pan, but it didn't get damaged in any of my scratch tests. I've been cooking with it a lot outside of these tests, and it performs perfect every time with very little grease. It's hard to believe the cooking surface isn't a nonstick coating, but it's not. Hestan NanoBond also lives up to its claims. Since the surface is incredibly hard and highly polished, it's slicker and more scratch resistant than standard stainless steel. I've been using this pan for years, and the performance is fantastic. Our Place Titanium Always Pan Pro has an unusual looking surface, but you can't deny the performance. The nonstick properties are impressive. Heritage Steel Titanium performed well, but it cooks more like a regular stainless steel pan. And that makes sense because the titanium is in the alloy, not on the surface. If you're worried about pitting, this is a good alternative to regular stainless steel. That said, Heritage Steel also makes a non-titanium line called the Eater series, and I actually prefer it because of the handle design. Taima lived up to most of its claims, but the main issue is that it's very thin. I measured it at 2 millimeters, and after a few uses, it warped and spun on my cooktop. As for titanium cookware as a whole, my advice is to read the fine print. As you just saw, pans advertised as titanium can be constructed very differently, and that affects performance. And keep in mind that titanium is just one factor. Handle design, thickness, weight, and heat performance all matter just as much when choosing the right pan. I tested all of those things across 31 stainless steel frying pans, including a few of the titanium pans in this video. And if you want to see those results, check out this video. And for more videos like this, click the logo to subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.